Everybody. Welcome back to the Josh Button Podcast, episode 25. Today I am prepared or want to be discussing preparation in general. They say luck is when preparation and opportunity intersect. And looking back at my life, I cannot possibly agree more. Because it's random, but it's not. It's almost strange how if we listen to the voice inside and we start to prepare, in other words, if you decide, I'm going to go ahead and pick up a new skill set, or for some reason, I'm going to improve my conditions in one way or another, I'm going to make myself a more well-rounded, more educated, more, capable of producing more. And you're just not necessarily filling yourself with just tons of data, but maybe being a little bit proactive with what you're consuming and what you're putting effort forward to. And I look back and I see times when what I was preparing myself for, I was completely unaware of. The opportunities that would present themselves, I had absolutely no idea that they could be presenting themselves. We've talked about manifestation. I had Haley Noel on, and she's big into manifestation. And I was in complete agreement that when you write things down, things that you wish for your life, things that you would like to, have as a part of your life, things that you would like to introduce to your life, you write these things down. And then if you kind of listen to that innate wisdom, that innate voice inside of yourself, you take one step in front of the other in the right directions to fulfill those things that you would actually like and enjoy and are manifesting and praying for. If you're a religious person and you have conversations with God all the time, or if you are a meditator and you have dialogue with yourself and you're open to the voice that's within you, and open to the possibility that you can control your life by harboring and embracing positive thoughts that would propel you in the direction of your dreams or manifestations, and turning off those voices of doubt and negativity and things that do not align with what you would like. And I believe we all have a consistent, I don't want to call it a battle, but a consistent conversation within ourselves that we need to monitor. And yes, it can be tough. It can be discouraging at times because we have things introduced to us all the time that occupy our thought processes. One of them being current events and news. And I myself cannot help but be distracted by things that aren't really pertinent and really relevant to my immediate life. There are things going on the other side of the world and propaganda from all directions that we are all constantly putting through the filter of our thought processes. And when we allow them to take up more space than we should, we become extremely distracted and almost incapable of manifesting and improving in the areas that we need to fulfill those manifestations. I myself have found it to be challenging to escape conspiracy land and the things that I would find in research or in documentaries or in conversations and in my own thought process. Being as interested by some of those things as I can be, I have found myself distracted, and I have to reel myself back in. That's one of the reasons I do and have grown to be so appreciative of breath work and meditation to a certain degree. But breath work is where I remind myself what I have in my life and how I've created this and how grateful I am for it, and the relationships that I have and how grateful I am for them. And then I also think about the things that I would really enjoy to be doing for a good percentage of my time here. And life is short. Life is short. Life is too short to waste away daydreaming and having zero results to the achievements that we would like to pursue and the things that we would like to accomplish. but we don't accomplish them without preparation. And consistent preparation is kind of a blind faith type of a relationship, because I found myself being rewarded the most by the things that I did, not out of spontaneity, but to a certain degree by chance. I wouldn't have known the rewards that I would reap from some of the endeavors that I took on at a whim. Jordan Peterson, whether you agree with everything he does or not, and lately there have been things that he has said and positions that he has taken and stances that he has taken that I just don't agree with. And I wasn't very happy to see him do it. However, I can't judge him because I'm not in his shoes, and I shouldn't judge him, because if I do, I'm going to go ahead and attribute some things to malice that may just be ignorance, or may just be his perspective of the world for some reason that I can't possibly understand. But finding his lectures and finding his books it wasn't entertaining as much as it was educational, and it was fulfilling a need for preparation for myself. I fell into a position just by sheer network, or whatever you want to call it, working with a couple teen boys. And had I not prepared myself in so many random weird ways and not listened to the innate voice to follow these leadership networks and these areas that I guess I wouldn't have really thought to be consumed by so much, or to be investing so much of my time into, but they served a purpose. They served a purpose where opportunity presented itself that I could not have ever have possibly imagined. And it also fulfilled things that really I was manifesting for myself. Time surfing and running hills and enjoying being in a position where I could share what I was learning. Just like now. There's a lot of things that when you share, you learn better and you absorb better. It's just facts. When I would take lectures online and disseminate the information, take it all in, and do my best to absorb it, things would set in and I could comprehend them. But when I would go and teach somebody else or share that information with somebody else, it really, really sunk in. I had no idea that I would apply a lot of the things that helped me gain my sobriety and gain freedom, so to speak. Because freedom is one of those things that I think we all universally want to manifest for ourselves. Life is short. Why would you not want to be able to take on projects that you have some kind of passion for? And why would you not want to fill your time with your loved ones and surround yourself with people that you want to associate with? Life is too short to be dependent upon people that do not appreciate you, are not grateful for you, do not care about your well-being. And this is a learning process for all of us. I look back at some of the jobs I had when I was a teen, and some of the jobs I had when I was in my 20s and 30s, and the professions that I've worked in. And some of them were not fulfilling or rewarding to me personally, for the fundamental reason that life is short, and I felt like I was wasting my time working on behalf of other individuals who are just there to profit from it. If you are mindlessly and aimlessly just fulfilling responsibilities for other people to profit off of, you will not feel rewarded, and you will feel like you're wasting your life. And it's always better to be proactive, preparing for a position that has absolute fundamental purpose that aligns with you, that you want to align with, rather than just chasing a buck or filling your time aimlessly serving others that are not really grateful, or are not really things that are important to you. we live a very short life when you think about it. In the grand scheme of things, we work for 70, 80 years. A lot of people do, and a lot of people retire and then die right after they retire. So I remember a few years ago thinking, why am I aimlessly putting profits upon, you know, bank accounts and corporations that really don't serve my best interest and do not care about me? They will replace me in an instant, and have just over and over and over again. As a model and an actor, I think you see it very clearly, and that you develop relationships with people inside these companies, and as soon as their company deems you not the fit for them anymore, it's very easy for them to cut ties. It's very easy for them to replace you with the next face, the next personality, the next person that's going to put profits to the bottom line. And that is the bottom line. Life is short. What are you waiting for? If you know that there are things that align with your purpose, or that you can fulfill purpose by doing, what are you waiting for neglecting that? And if you are waiting for something, are you preparing for it? Is there any way that you could be preparing yourself to either A, achieve a goal that puts you on the road to success in an area that you feel fulfilled in and that you align with? Me, myself, I've found it to be, I guess, almost not cyclical, but, you know, people change and their purpose changes and the things that they want for themselves changes. But if I'm not constantly preparing myself, and I do not, you know, somewhat, not strategize, but somewhat expand and keep expanding and keep adding to, well, there's a really rational fear that you might be, sedentary, that you might not be growing, that you might not be doing what you need to do to A, take advantage of an opportunity you do not yet know exist, or to create those opportunities. Disappointment is part of life for all of us. There are many things that we can all look back on and go, wow, I really, really, really wanted that, or I really, really, really thought this was going to happen for me. And disappointment, well, it's not easy. But how many times has something that disappointed you in the moment come around to serve you later? Not getting a job that you really wanted, and then you realize later something better came along. Not having a relationship that you wanted, and then realize that something better came along. Or that perhaps you had a lot of learning and growing to do before you were even capable of being who you needed to be to sustain a healthy relationship. I have, in my adult life, learned lesson after lesson after lesson about making myself a better individual, so that I not only love myself, but so that I can actually love someone else the way they deserve to be loved. All of us have things that we can look back on and be guilty of. But if we look back on our mistakes and on experiences that deemed us to grow and made us to be so uncomfortable that we had to grow, and we absorbed the lessons from these things, well, that is preparation for a new opportunity. It's absolute preparation for an opportunity that you are unaware of that shall present itself. It is coming. So are you doing something proactively? And I ask myself this all the time. What can I be doing proactively to facilitate my abilities for when this opportunity presents itself? We, in the manifesting community, you like to think about miracles presenting themselves. And I do believe miracles do present themselves. Maybe it's not so much a miracle as we had imagined it to be from time to time, but when something sets in with you, like an opportunity so grand has presented itself that you are overwhelmed with joy and gratitude, and the blessings really hit home, and the abundance really, really hits home for you, you can't help but think, wow, what a miracle. And this has happened over and over in my lifetime when an opportunity I could not possibly be aware of in advance presents itself, and it aligns just absolute, almost comically, like perchance. How could this have aligned for me in the way that it did? It was just so perfect in hindsight. And nothing lasts forever. Well, that's, the only constant in life is change. But when we think about that and we look at those miracles and we know that that's what's possible, and that's what maybe life is about. It's a series of preparation and miracle, and preparation and miracle, and disappointment with things along the line that we think is going to be that miraculous come up, if you would. And maybe that's a graduation term, a come up in life, when you are maturing to levels in which you're now graduating and you're now achieving more and you're now expected more of you. And if you were preparing yourself to get to those graduations and to those opportunities, well, then you step right into the door and fulfill destiny, so to speak. So looking back at so many times when I was disappointed, well, I wouldn't be who I am without those. And I wouldn't be who I am without the miracles and the opportunities that did present themselves kind of seemingly perfectly. Maybe life is just a series of waves. I use the surfing analogy because, man, I do love surfing. And I haven't surfed in a while. I miss it. I do miss it. I'm speaking this into the universe because I would like to catch some waves here. And I love training my dog, and I love Florida where I'm at. But I can't help but think about some of the things that I, in my life, have been so fortunate to have when I get to travel and explore and have adventures. And I'm not disappointed in the moment because I'm not, but my adult life has been a series of adventures and been out on the go. And there's a lot of things that I have really, really come to enjoy and love. This podcast in itself, I'm sure some of the things that I set forward years ago presented this opportunity and made me feel the need to do this. So much so. I had mentioned it on here one time before that one of the reasons I felt the need to do this so much so was because I had overcome so much of myself. An addict, an alcoholic, sheer dependent who was aimlessly going through life for a long time, just comforting myself, just indulging in experiences that were, dopamine experiments, so to speak. They were chasing, at the time, rational experiences that were enjoyable, but they weren't really fulfilling, and they weren't really serving a purpose for the greater good for any of my friends and family or people that I love. Being a better dog trainer for my dog. Every relationship I've had with dogs, I look back after years and wonder what else I could have accomplished, what else I could have known. And fortunately, I'm here in a situation now with King, as you know, my Belgian, where I've learned a lot more. I've learned a lot in the last year or two, a lot. And he learns anything and everything that I can share and train him on almost effortlessly. Now, me learning the actual ways to communicate that and to get that behavior has been an experience. It's been a learning curve in some of the areas. The dog training is like reverse psychology in a lot of ways. You do the opposite, and all of a sudden you're fulfilling what you have that wish. In other words, the push-pull isn't exactly the same way it is with humans. You retreat, they come to you. There's just a lot of different analogies there where you're like, the rationale most people wouldn't put together on their own. They need to be taught this or need to go out and seek that information. Dog training, I think, in that way is very interesting because people get dogs and then they run into behavioral issues that they have with them. And as opposed to seeking out online or somewhere else how to deal with this. That's why they go to hire trainers. And then when a trainer does start to train the individual how to get the behavior from the dog, and it starts to click and make sense, you see the light bulb go off. Oh, this is effort, and it's the opposite of what I was thinking I should be doing. And a lot of people aren't really ready for that. They just want a dog to be entertainment, and they want somebody else to fulfill the training because it's work. It takes effort. And, consistency. Shame. Unfortunately, it's very difficult for people to be very consistent. I've noticed that time and time again. Can you be consistent with your diet? Can you be consistent with what you're rejecting in life? Can you be consistent with what you're absorbing? If you're making a conscious decision as to what you're going to allow into your life, and you're making conscious decisions as to what you do not want in your life, and you're consistent with those things, well, you can't help but produce amazing results. It's very easy to sometimes just take for granted and neglect what we have in our lives right now. But most likely, if you look at it and you analyze it, you got it for yourself. You achieved this in one way or another. And it's also easy to take for granted by wanting more. Easy to, see in the rear view when you had some things that you don't have now, and also want some things in the future. But without preparing for opportunities to present themselves to make you have all of it, life can be a struggle. Life can be challenging, and it is for all of us. Luck, where preparation meets opportunity. Life is awesome, but life is short. It's too short to be aimless. This podcast, in a lot of ways, I'm talking to myself. And today I wasn't really going into the conspiracy stuff and the current events and all that, because I've had these thoughts and these thought processes and these acknowledgments the last few days on my own, where I'm remembering, man, life is short. Life is short. Dude, you can't be distracted consistently by what's going on in the world and the craziness and the insanity. A lot of the preparation that you need to be doing has and is completely to do with yourself and improving your own conditions. I'm getting... Hey, 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 come here. Here. Come here. Case in point. Here. I'm case in point. Improve your own conditions. It's the best we can do for the world, for ourselves, and it's the best we can do to have the opportunities we're totally unaware of present themselves to us for more. I'm Josh Button.